Here comes Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right, hello everybody. Wow, look, I'm on the camera. Maybe my audio is a little loud. I can see the volume bar really spiking. So I have my new little mic. What do you guys think? Hello, can you hear me well? Is this the best sound ever? Yeah, I upgraded because the old giant Yeti mic, I think it finally died. I got a new cable, everything, it just wasn't working. I was like, you know what? Let me get something premium. And this DJI mic, I think it's much more portable. So now I can travel and I don't have to worry about my setup, and I can basically stream anywhere. I'm using my smartphone. This is my smartphone as the camera. So I got a new phone. Now I have two smartphones. So I just bring the second one with me. And I think I'm good. I can stream from anywhere. And the setup is like this little box and a second phone. It's so easy. What do you guys think of the thumbnail? Also, now I've got AI thumbnails. I'm gonna do better next time. This one was quick. I knew that I was starting late, so I'm like, okay, let me just do everything. And let's while I was waiting for an issue with YouTube, I was like, let me make a thumbnail of Trump. So what do you like the thumbnail? How is the sound, first of all? And do you like the thumbnail, or do you prefer the old just TRI thumbnail, or do you like the ChatGPT generated one? Thoughts, opinions, or do you just want me to talk about the market? Hello, Alexa. Hello, Charles. Hello, Ucha. Hello, Lori. Sorry, guys, for starting late today. You know, I'm always tardy. Yeah, I gotta get better at it. I'm late with most things. Like usually 5 to 10 minutes late. Lately, sometimes 20. It's bad. It's bad. So it sounds good. Okay, like maybe I'm AI. It's not too loud because I have the gain up a little bit. Audio and video are great. Okay, all right, so we're good. I'm alive and in a condo, as you guys know. So we had the massive earthquake in Bangkok. I'm on the 43rd floor of a condo. So I've never felt like I was gonna die. That was the first time, I think, in my life where I really thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Because the building, like I was sitting in this chair right here, and the building started moving a little bit, and I thought, I'm dizzy. And then it started really moving, and I was like, oh my God. And actually I was swearing, but I don't know if I can on YouTube. I raced and put on my flip-flops, grabbed my phone, and went out the door. And I'm like, okay, first I went to the elevator by instinct, but I'm like, no, that's stupid. Got to take the stairs. Keep in mind, 43rd floor. And I start racing down. Not even like running. I am jumping. I am like a Sonic / frog going down those stairs. I'm 10 flights down, and it's still, the building is still shaking. It's still shaking. But I'm thinking, like, I am so fast, and I am in such good shape that I'm gonna survive. Yeah, I took the flip-flops off, so no shoes. Okay, I got a bruise on my foot actually because I was jumping too many stairs and like landing mainly on my right foot. But I'm fine now. It's already healed. But yeah, I thought I'm gonna survive. It's fine because I'm just in such good shape and so fast until I got to like I think I was on like the 30th floor or something. I went down 13 floors in probably a minute. It was like a minute. It was really fast. And then I ran into like a group of old people and a family with a crying baby, and I'm just stuck behind them. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm dead. I'm dead. I can't just pass them because then I look like a bad person. So I offered to carry the baby for the dad, but of course he said no. But then he said I could go ahead. So I went, and I went back into turbo mode. But by then the building had stopped shaking. So it was kind of everybody was still rushing, but I'm like, oh, I think it's over and I'll be fine. But hopefully no aftershock, so I should probably still hurry. And then they made us stay outside for 8 hours. So yeah, and at that point I was like, oh, I should have brought my computer. Why didn't I? Now I can't get anything done. I'm just sitting here on my phone. So yeah, it was interesting. So that was that. I just thought I'd tell that, story from anybody that heard about the earthquake. Yeah, I thought the building was coming down, and all of the buildings here are damaged. Some damaged beyond like repair, and they're gonna have to condemn them. I don't think they're talking about it that much in the media, but some stuff was really bad. If the earthquake was just a little bit stronger, I think a lot of places would have been absolutely destroyed. So it was, obviously Miramar is way worse, but I don't know anyone in Miramar or anything about Miramar. So I can't, it sucks for those people for sure, but I don't have any personal stories relating to that. So I hope my Bangkok story doesn't downplay the tragedy that happened there, because there's way more people that died there, and Bangkok got very lucky. So I just want to say that. All right, let's get into the markets. There's more terrible things happening to everyone's portfolio, so we should probably talk about that. I'm gonna shrink myself. You don't want to see my face this much. Although I think my skin is looking pretty good. I started red light therapy, so I've been doing. I paid like $1,400 for a really premium red light panel, and so I'm doing this. I just go under it in the morning and just lay there for like 10 minutes, and then I switch to the other side and do it for 10 minutes. It's supposed to be pretty good. Feels interesting. Back gets all tingly. I thought it was faulty at first because I was getting all tingly, but then I asked ChatGPT and it said, yeah, it's fine. It's normal. Just lower the power level. All right, let's get to the market. Yeah, Alexa, I did go back up the stairs later because the elevators are all broken. There's only 2 elevators working right now, by the way. For like 4 or 5 days, we only had 1 in a condo that has 4 elevators. So now we have 2 at least. So yeah, okay. I think that's small enough in the corner. Let me know if you guys want it bigger. But let's get into what's going on. What do I want to go through first? Let's look at investor sentiment survey. Interestingly, I'm still shocked by this. We've got 62% of people bearish. Like, it's never been this high, never. And we're dumping. It's rare for so many investors to be bearish and the market to do exactly what the investors are expecting. So I'm a little bit surprised by this, and I'm a little bit disappointed in this survey because I think I've paid really close attention to it twice in the past year, and both times it's not provided the contrarian view I was looking for, and the market actually went in the direction of what people were fearing. So we might stop using this. I'm not sure. Not that happy with it, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. S&P open interest, I always touch on this, so we might as well look at it. Let's update this for today. Let me refresh it. Obviously crypto, people are afraid, so we've got extreme fear. I'm surprised it's not worse than that. Let's go down. So we had ISM come in here, 50, not the best. And then unemployment claims kind of came in line, not a big deal. I think the big news is that we have FOMC speakers today a little bit. And then tomorrow we have non-farm payroll and then Powell, of course. So it's going to be, this is going to be big, right? This is, if you didn't get enough adrenaline today, we've also got Powell tomorrow. It's going to be exciting, very exciting. At, I believe, so 10:25 for me is like 11:30 for people on Eastern time. So there's that. Yeah, here, this is interesting. Look at how many puts were open at 5,500. Where are we at right now? Somebody knew that this was going to crash bigger. They wanted to hedge their position. Yeah, so we're at 5,460. So somebody made big money, big. on these 55.50 puts right here. That's not gonna really matter. I mean, you've got the 54. I don't think this matters so much. Maybe the market rallies. Maybe we close above these puts. That's a possibility. We're definitely not gonna go over 5,700. So this is interesting, but I don't think it matters as much this week. All right, we're gonna close that, and we'll get into the big analysis of what's going on with the S&P. By the way, for anyone that doesn't know what this is, I guess I can talk about it really briefly. I posted about it a couple times. You can look up. I didn't create this. This is from that Colin Talks Crypto guy. You can look him up. He's okay. And basically he ran a bunch of analysis. I posted the code in the room as well, where he found that 108-day offset seemed to be the most accurate, specifically for Bitcoin. But I think for the stock market, more so like 75-day offset seems to work well. And there you go. And you can see how much it lines up. So according to this, today should be approximately the bottom. Like if the market really follows M2, then today should be sort of the bottom. So that's keep in mind, we're going to go through a bunch of stuff. This is like a data point in a stream of data points. We're going to take a holistic approach and see what's going to happen. Are we going to keep going down, or is it possible that we follow the M2 money supply like we have historically and we see a market rally? Now, keep in mind this time thing that we've got going on here. This varies. This is just right now, but sometimes it changes. Sometimes it's 30 days until it affects the market. Sometimes it's 100 days. And you'll see with Bitcoin right now, I think we're at like a 108-day delay before it affects Bitcoin. But it does show that eventually we should go higher. Like look how this keeps going up. And you can see it spiked massively here. As long as this keeps going up, we can expect the market's going to go higher. Now, if this was trending down, I would be more concerned, but it keeps trending up. And it's saying that basically by the end of, for this 1 month, we're going to sit down here. We're going to sit down here. You give market makers a chance to fill their bags, banks, everybody, while people are panicking. You know, this is the tariff tantrum period where everybody's scared. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And then things get resolved. Somehow the news turns bullish. Everybody's filled their bags down here and we take off. You know, and we go up to this 6,800, 6,900 level, which is the level that I expect us to go to. I published a report a while ago. I need to do my second one. I haven't done it. Been thrown off by earthquakes and some other things. I will do it. Talking about M2 specifically and some other stuff that I'm looking at from a long-term analysis standpoint. But if this holds true, then this might be the bottom. We're going to look at some other stuff though. Let me get rid of these things. What did you ask, Mr. Anna? Which phone? What did you say? Which phone and mic are you using? Can you share a link? Thanks. Oh, okay. You approve of both. Well, you'll be happy to know that neither of them cost much money. The phone is a what is this phone? Is it S23 Ultra? Yeah, S23 Ultra. But I think you can do it with like even a cheaper Samsung phone. You could probably get like a S23 basic model and just use the camera. And then I'm using OBS and connecting it with something called Droidcam, which is just a wireless connection. Have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. And then for the mic, it's just a DJI mic mini. And that, believe it or not, can you guys guess how much this is? You actually get two mics. Look at this. You get a little carrying case and you get a second mic. Look at that. I've got a second one. So if I wanted someone else here, I could just give them the mic and then we could have I'd have a whole little podcast. And it was only, and this is in Thailand, it's probably cheaper in the US. It was only $120. I think you can get it for $100 probably in the US. So it's like crazy cheap and so small. Like here, I gotta do a quick comparison. You have to see this. So this was my old, let me disconnect this. This was my old mic setup. Look how big this is. And then like this is the size of, let me make my video a little bit bigger. And then we'll get back to the market. Sorry, I'm probably losing viewers. Nobody wants to hear about this. So this is the size of the mic case compared to my old mic, which didn't even work that well. Look at that. And then the actual microphone, I've got a second one in here. The actual microphone is just this little thing. Look at that. So there's the difference. And you can go back like a month, and you can compare the quality of this stream to like my previous streams and see like this is how far technology has come. So yeah, little fun fact. I'm gonna shrink myself again. You don't want to see me this huge. Okay, and we'll get rid of this giant. This is gonna go in the garbage. Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you, technology, and China for building it, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about S&P. We're going to get rid of the M2 because it's just distracting, but I thought I'd talk about that briefly. So right now, just looking at it this way, obviously it looks like a disaster. It looks like we're going straight to hell. You could make the argument that we've got A, B, C, D here, and we could break down all the way here to 51.40. There's a real possibility this could happen. I would be surprised if it happens, but there is a real possibility there. So I'm going to go to a weekly chart, and we're going to look at historically what has happened in the past when we've had this kind of breakdown. So this is a 21 EMA, and this is a 50, and then this is a 200 on a weekly, right? And in the past, we've had scenarios where we've actually broken down just like we have here, and we've rebounded. Like this was just massive rebound right there, but we were at support. Here, we're not really at a support. The support is more so down here, right? At like 5,300. So keep in mind, we could go here, but it's not as far as you think, right? So everyone's panicking, but look where support is. It's only 3.5% further. You already dropped. Market's already dropped, and a lot of names really already dropped. This is just the final like scare. It's already dropped 11%. You've got maybe another 2 to 3% to go. So if this is your major support, right? Say this is major support, and then is there, and we looked at M2. So you've got 3% downside, and you've got at least a 10% upside. Should you be bearish or bullish here? What are most people, we looked at investor sentiment, are bearish, but should you really be bearish here? That's the question you have to ask. And as a trader, you're supposed to be like a staticist. I can't even say the word. A statistician. You're supposed to use statistics and previous historical events to determine your next move. I would make the argument that your next move should be to go long. Hello, Hector. Nice to see you. I would make the argument that you hunt longs. Because even if you're wrong temporarily and you lose 2 or 3%, you're going to be right over the long term. Now, if you're trading something like options that expire in a day or something, and you go long, you might get liquidated. You're not liquidated, but they'll expire worthless. I don't recommend that. I'm talking about from a slightly leveraged ETF standpoint, or long-term holds that you don't expect to sell for 2 or 3 weeks, those kind of things. So that's the argument I'm going to make for this. The other thing is that you have a divergence. So we've got 3 potential, 1 confirmed right here that I pointed out before. These are the potentials. You can see with MACD and RSI, they're not looking exactly terrible. It's not terrible. And then on a weekly, I don't know if you noticed, but we had a TD7. And generally TD 8, 9, and 7, especially on the downside, are very strong. So let's see. So we had an 8 here, right? Big bounce. We had an 8 here. That was basically the bottom back in 2022. Where else did we have them? You didn't really even get them. The market didn't sell off enough in a slow enough time period to get them. Oh, you had an 8 and 9 back here in 2016. But other than that, there's not too much to go off of, and you can see how quickly the market bounces. I think this is all overblown panic. And I wish my thumbnail of Trump, if I had another 30 minutes to start and I wasn't so late, I would have spent another 30 minutes making that thumbnail way better. That took me like 20 minutes to make, but I think I could make something so good. I love AI. It's scary and amazing all at the same time. And this is my weird hydrogen water thing. I don't know actually if it has any health benefits, but it turns blue. Look at that. See? Cool, right? I like that I don't have a giant mic in front of me that I could hit with my arm, and I can just, oh, it's so freeing. I can do anything. Hector asked, Julian, I have individual stocks start very late. I have individual stocks started very late to buy funds. Is this a good time to start buying funds like in the total market? Like you mean like a 3x ETF or like a SPY, just index? Well, that's what I'm going through right now, right? So if you're just investing, I don't think that there's a lot more downside. And I think you could make an argument for dollar cost averaging. This looks really bad on a weekly. Like if you look at the momentum indicators, it looks really bad. But if you go back here, you can see how quickly it just reverses. Just boop, reverse. Right here, boop, bounce, boop, one more, and then reverse. A little bit lower, reverse, and eventually you moved up. Right? You might have something more like this scenario, but I really doubt it. Like especially if we look at, let's bring M2 back, right? Let's bring it back. Let's bring it up here. Let me see. Let's see how it did back here. So you can see while this sell-off was happening, and I'm gonna adjust the offset because actually it's doing 75 weeks here, which we don't want. We want like 5. No, maybe 9 weeks. Yeah, something like that. That's better. Yeah, so you can see how here now it lines up. Actually, I think I want to do 8. Let me adjust it again. I want to do like 8. As I told you, the times, let's see how that moves it. Yeah, that's better. So the times don't match exactly, but you can see how M2 was actually moving down. And I think it was probably lined up a lot. If we go to 3 weeks, maybe it was only like a 20-day delay. The delay changes, but you can see how M2 was actually declining while the market was declining. And then it reversed and you had a big rally. And then the market, but it didn't move up like that quickly. While here, we have quite a move up. It's delayed. Like they started printing money actually right before we crashed. So I think they knew something was coming, and then people's, government started printing. That's kind of what's happening here, and we've just got a bit of a delay, and it should turn around shortly. And I think it's good to look at the correlation here from the previous rollover. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, back to our analysis. Okay, so potential divergence forming. This is your support level right here, this white line. I'm actually going to turn it, we're going to turn it red. That's your support. I don't see us going much lower than this. And then we bounce. That's what I'm thinking. We can go to lower time frames, like a 4 hour. You can even see the 4 hour kind of creating a bit of a divergence. Until we, keep in mind, until we get above my trend heuristic channel, we are kind of in a bear trend. Like anything that gets up to this level around this trend heuristic, you probably should sell a bit. Like when yesterday, so I'll talk about this when we get to crypto, but I bought a bunch of crypto like 2 or 3 days ago, and then I sold it, over 50% of it, yesterday before the announcement. And I posted and talked about it in the room. VWAP. So yeah, I have that. I don't know why it's not showing. Usually I have it. I actually don't know why my VWAPs are not showing. Aggregated VWAP. I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure why it's not showing. We can look at SPY and it'll probably show it. Very weird that it's not showing my VWAPs. Why are you not showing it? It's not showing any of these. I don't know why none of these are working. It's kind of annoying. Let me see something. Aggregated VWAP. Yeah, it's not showing. We do have a huge gap here. Obviously the gap that's gonna have to get filled. VWAPs show here. Maybe I have to turn off some setting because this is primarily for Bitcoin. But on my phone, when I pull up TradingView on my phone, this works on anything. So I don't know why it's not showing here. I'll have to figure that out later. But this one is really useful. So you can see the VWAPs here, and it's really useful, especially on like a daily time frame. We had that 30 that was acting as a magnet, and then we've got 365 down here at like 76. But it's not critical. Anyway, okay, let me go back. Okay, so here. You've got a 7 printing, potential divergence developing, daily chart, another potential divergence coming in, TD7 on a weekly chart. We've also got, we can look at, right? So this would be where I would kind of draw my fibs, right, like this. And we can go like that. And you could say this was 61.8. So we kind of bounced off of it a couple times and we got rejected from 38.2. And now what did I say is our support level? Right here. And what does that line up with? 78.6, 88.6. And what do we like to buy? 78.6, 88.6. So I would say that right now is probably not the buy. However, right down here probably is. This is where I'm going to get excited. I would consider starting to long. You could dollar cost average now, honestly. Like I said, the downside is I do not believe that this is going to turn into some massive crash. I think that you're going to have some back and forth. You know, countries are going to try to show their ego, and then it's going to get resolved. I think in the next 2 weeks, it's going to get resolved. And we're going to oscillate in this area. But actually, it's just going to be right here, and then we're going to just go up. And it's going to be like that. That's what M2 is telling us. That's what historically has happened. And that's what I see playing. That's how I see it playing out. We will see if I'm right or wrong. I could be completely wrong, and that would suck for my bank account, my trading account, which is kind of my bank account also. Let me drink a little bit more of this. Hydrogen water, for anyone that's curious. I have no idea if it helps, but it was only like $30. Okay, so that's the S&P. That's what I'm thinking. That's going to affect everything in the general market. Obviously, you know, I know most people here are very interested in crypto. We will get to it, but I wanted to touch on, you know, obviously I talk about Tesla a lot, and I think Optimus Robot and all these things. So one thing, you know, Tesla, this was the Tesla range for a while, right like that. Tesla came down to 78.6, basically 78.6. That's a buy. $200. I said this was a big buy. I bought a lot down here. I've sold up here when it came to my trend heuristic. You can see how it hit this trend heuristic and got rejected twice. That is not a mistake. That is exactly what I expected to happen. And yeah, so right now it's fighting with this. You've got a 9, which is putting the floor. I think Tesla has a lot of stuff coming its way. It's been hit by a lot of negative media attention. Daily RSI is bullish. MACD is bullish. I think Tesla is a buy, and it's up from here. You're going to oscillate a little bit. It's going to follow the rest of the market, but as soon as that's over, this is just going to take off. I don't see how that can't happen. I would love to see Tesla actually pull back to like 240, scare some people, and then create a nice W. So something like, you know, something like this, and then we just take off. I'm not sure if you're gonna even get that. you might not, but I'm very long Tesla, and I think I can only see up from here as long as the rest of the market heads higher and Optimus robot plays out, which I think it will. So there's my analysis quickly on Tesla. Are there any other stocks? I'm gonna move to crypto, but if there's any other stocks you guys are interested in, just you can post it in the chat and we can talk about it. Or if you want to talk about gold, I know a lot of people are talking about gold. You can take a quick peek at gold. I don't know why I'm seeing it everywhere. I talked about it last week, and I said we're on my road to 4.669 level, which is right here, this chart that I drew a very long time ago. 3,700 is the magic number. Weekly is still very bullish. Any pullbacks are kind of like a buying window. You know, I think you could pull back into 3,000 BFRN. This is major support level. So if you get a pullback below 3,000, I would consider it a buy, and you just buy in it and ride it up to that 3,700. It could take a while, but it should head up to that, and that kind of coincides with our M2 money supply push. So if I overlay, actually, so M2 seems to respond directly with gold, with really almost no offset. And you can see how, you know, you had the pullback, gold pullback, oscillation, spike, pullback, and then the big spike, and gold spiked as well. You had a slight pullback here, big spike, and now you have your slight pullback. So you're getting this little temper tantrum here. We'll call it a taper tantrum. And now you've got a spike again. And I expect this to keep spiking until gold achieves this 3,700 level. So that's all, it's all correlated. Money gets printed, and things that can't be printed go up in value. It's kind of simple. I think everyone understands this concept of basically inflation created by governments. Yeah. Hector asked about Nike. Okay, we can look at Nike quickly. Oh, that's not the right Nike symbol. Oh, Nike. Oh, ouch. I'm guessing because they make a lot of products in China or something. Why is it so bad? Damn. Just absolute destruction, huh? I'm gonna get rid of, I have random lines on Nike from a very long time ago. Wow. This is painful to even look at. Why is it so bad? So this was your last kind of base level. I would draw a fib basically from here to that low, and you went way below that. See how it had a lot of support, 78.6 and even 61.8, and then it just got destroyed below that. Oh, interesting. Really crap. I guess the sales are way down, and also the tariff impacts from producing goods in other countries and then selling them in the US. Let's see their last kind of base. I guess we can go all the way back here. That would make sense to me, right there. Yeah, that seems to line up pretty well. It looks like 78.6 would be your next level, which lines up with support area here, right? So right there, a little bit lower, probably here. So like $48, $49 might be a potential buy, and then you just set your stop where you can be maybe stopped out if it goes a bit lower, and then your next is 30. 30 would kind of make sense. So that would be your buy area down here, basically between 30 and 40. Yeah, I think once the tariffs, you're gonna get this. This is great for hedge funds and stuff. They love this. Just wreck the market and then buy everything up after it's been wrecked. Like, how much is this down from the highs? Look at that, 70, almost 70%. By the time we actually want to buy it, it's going to be at 70%. That's when hedge funds buy this stuff. That's when you want to be buying it. This is probably going to be a long-term hold, though. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, you're welcome. But for now, I wouldn't touch it yet. I would wait. Got a, what does it look like on the monthly chart? 6 potential divergences on the monthly chart. Had a big bounce here. See what happened when you had a 9 on the monthly? Huge sell signal up here with a 9. Always check the monthly. I think it's always good to check the monthly. Speaking of, let's go back to the S&P. What did it say on the monthly? Yeah, not as much impact on the monthly here. You did have a little bit, but not always. Interesting to see that. We don't want to see this monthly close down here, by the way. I want to see this reverse and push back up. And then we can get our huge rollover. You might get a huge rollover here. But I want to see at least a decent pump up to my 6,800 level. Never sold. Holding about 40 crypto coins. I'm up 6 figures since then. Should I just hold and sell 50% come ending of the year? No financial advice, just opinion. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think you should put like a time frame on it, like end of the year or something. I think you should put a price target, and we can segue into Bitcoin with that discussion. So, you know, here's Bitcoin in a arguably confusing presentation. I'm gonna get rid of some things. What do I get rid of? Do I have? I think I have 2 fibs here. That's confusing. Okay. I've got my short-term fibs, my long-term fibs. You can see how also trend heuristic Bitcoin got rejected. Bitcoin looks like it could create a massive W here. I'd like to see a pullback to this. So we have a long-term 50% level here, which is basically on the entire range. And then we have a smaller fib set up from the previous range of the past like month. And this is our buy zone again, 78.6, 88.6. It's the best thing to use in a range. And generally markets bounce here. So between 79,000 to basically 78,000. That should be your general buy window. Bitcoin should tag it for at least 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds to buy. I would suggest putting like a limit order and set your stop below the lows. You want to probably ideally below this 365-day VWAP. So you want to be, price might tag this. So maybe go below and set your stop like 75, 74,500. I know it sounds like a wide stop if you're doing leverage, but it's really not that much in the grand scheme of things, right? So, you know, we can even model that, right? So if I'm saying buy, let's say you really want to make sure you get in, you set your buy at 79,208 and your stop is 74, like 400, okay, 6%. But then your target, and we can look at our target. Let's again assume that comes down here and we create our chaos here. And that's the top of the W, and that gives us a target of 123,000. So let's assume that's our high for Bitcoin, which is a bit of a conservative prediction. But you get a 9-to-1 risk to reward ratio. That's, again, as a statistician, that is a good risk to reward. I would take that all day, every day. ACH, yeah, we can maybe look at those quickly, but I'll repeat my thoughts on altcoins again. I think you're not diversified being in altcoins, and I'll kind of go through the entire sector. Tom Lee, 60K prediction. What do you think? Yeah, probably not going to happen. I just don't see it. But there is 78.6 right at 62K. So the whole kind of bottom level from back in August to the high, it does put you at 78.6. That would be your buy level from this range. So if we are in this kind of massive range, then that's a good buy level. It is. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think there's too much demand for Bitcoin. I don't see it going below 77,000, like 77,800. It might slightly tag below at 76.7. That, like, I don't see it. Definitely don't see it below that. But it can, again, there's always a small percent chance that can happen. So just keep that in mind and trade accordingly. But 9-to-1 risk reward ratio sounds good to me. So you can get stopped out, let it go to 62K, and then you just take another trade. And you set it up to be, also 9-to-1. Maybe it's 10-to-1. And then it's not a big deal as long as you eventually hit your target. By the way, I also, if you want to go back to my Julian Discord room, I also published a long-term study on Bitcoin where I expect us to basically go to around 140K. That's where I would probably start selling a good amount, probably 130. Above 120, I would start selling, but a big amount, 140. That was the result of the whole study. 140 looked like the zone. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of some of this. And to answer, so Minya, you asked me, when should you sell? Well, if Bitcoin gets to 130, 140, you probably want to sell some. Then you want to see, does it sit up there? If it sits up there and you see, by the way, this doesn't look good. I don't like this, but I'm not even going to get into this. I'll be talking about it forever. If you see BTCD roll over, you want to sell when Bitcoin BTCD gets down here. I don't know if it's going to break down and go to the old like levels. Like there's people waiting and hoping we go to 40%. I don't know if that's going to happen. You're in this uptrending channel. Maybe you get to 58. It would be great if this breaks down. If this breaks down, then you've got massive alt season and you got to just hope that Bitcoin hangs on while this rolls over and you get down to this 40% zone. I just don't know if it's going to happen. We're stuck in this uptrend and it just keeps going up right now. So alts just continually are getting destroyed. The play is Bitcoin for now. That's where the money is, and alts just that's where the pain is. I would not right now. I'd focus on Bitcoin. I think you can trade alts a bit, but you're just asking for pain. Yeah, I mean you can roll over to alts if you want. I think it's always good to take profits and just sit in cash. And then you can go into some alts. I think considering the policies that are going on with the Trump regime, you want to stick to alts that are like US endorsed. I think those will do better and be invested in by financial institutions, depending on what happens. And I would avoid all shitcoins and NFTs and stuff like that. If that stuff starts popping off again, like shitcoins going to the moon and NFTs, you see NFTs massively increasing in value, that's really the time to get out. Like then you know, okay, we've only got a couple months, 1, 2, 3, max 3 months until it's all over. NFTs are in a massive bear market right now, by the way. If you believe in NFTs, I don't really believe in them. I got burned too bad. I don't want to play with that anymore. But if you believe in NFTs, they're in a massive bear market right now, and I think you can get stuff for insanely cheap prices. But that's only if it's a gamble for a reason. Maybe they never come back. Low liquidity also, so something to keep in mind. Anyway, okay, back to Bitcoin. So this is what I'm thinking. I don't think we're gonna go to 62K. It's the same like when people were saying we're gonna go to 13, 12K. We never did. I don't see it happening. You might get lucky and you can buy down here. That's about it. That's all I'm seeing. Let me look on a daily chart. So daily, I am disappointed that we broke down here. So you could go a bit lower, but I don't see that 62K. 4 hour, even lower time frame. You can see how we had the breakout higher, little pump, and then rug pull. It actually looks like it's trying to kind of cross back over. Like it's trying to form some sort of bottom. But again, I expect that a little bit lower, Again, it could bounce from this area, but a little bit lower makes sense to me. Just take out the lows here, stop people out. I don't see why they wouldn't stop people out till here at least. We can actually look at liquidation levels. I think everyone knows about liquidation levels, but I guess we can just look at it quickly. Yeah, liquidation heat map. You keep talking about time. I don't know. So many things. There's so many moving parts. Like this is literally a chaotic system. And that means that you cannot predict the time frame. Even predicting the price is hard. Then you want also time. That is impossible. Anyone that says they can is lying. It depends. There's 100 different factors, and probably a massive AI computer could not even compute that. Do you really think the mic is fine? Because OBS is saying the audio is almost too loud. Yeah, so this doesn't help that much, but there are some liquidations down here. I don't see why they wouldn't take them out. Yeah, there's some liquidations, but I've been burned by trying to follow this in the past. I don't know how much this really matters. And I find sometimes it's almost a distraction. Yeah, as usual, you have liquidations on both sides, and yeah, there's some. So yeah, there's liquidations. We know that. I don't know how helpful that is. Okay, back to the chart. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I can simplify this by basically just drawing something very easy. Let me do something really easy. And this is going to affect all the altcoins. So this is basically your level where I expect price to go, and not that far beyond it, but then your stop is right down there. I'll turn this into, let's make it green, and let's make it brighter, and let's do this. So price could do this. We go down here, maybe do that, and we do this, and then we take off. That's kind of what I think is going to happen, but not in this time frame. I think it's going to happen more so here, and then by May we're going to be doing this one, going up. Yeah, so like that. So that's kind of how I'm picturing this playing out. And alts are going to follow this, but to a different level, different degree. Like we could sit here and chart 50 alts. They're all going to do something similar, but just have slightly different percentages and numbers. But the general direction is what you care about. And what I would recommend is you chart for your own sanity. You chart Bitcoin, you follow Bitcoin. And if you think Bitcoin is going to turn around and go up, you buy the altcoins you like. And that's it. Don't chart every single altcoin unless you're going to do like limit orders. If you want to do limit orders and you think it's going to happen while you're sleeping, okay, I totally understand that. However, for your own sanity, and I've learned this by trying to maintain my sanity, is you just follow Bitcoin and then you buy the alts when it looks like Bitcoin's going to reverse. I did that. That's what I did a couple days ago. So I bought basically down here and, right here, down here at like 81,000, everything rallied, and then I sold up here. 87,000 was actually my target. And you can see how short of a time we were there. Yeah, basically right here, I posted it in the lounge, and we were only there for a couple hours, but I'm glad I sold everything because all the alts sold off with Bitcoin. Everything sold off. There wasn't like, look at Sui. So Sui is one of the ones I watch. It went up, this is a daily chart. So it went up to like 250 and now it's already down. It's already down. It went all the way up to about 250 and it's already back down to 220. How much of a percent move is that? Yeah, that's like 11% pullback. They're just like leverage trades on Bitcoin. So the way it works is there's the NASDAQ, and then Bitcoin is just a leverage version of the NASDAQ, and then altcoins are just leverage versions of Bitcoin, and then like shitcoins you've never heard of and NFTs are just like leverage versions of all of that stuff. And you actually almost don't even want to bother with them because it's just too much. So just think about how much leverage you want and you can trade those altcoins. or you can go to shitcoins, or you can go to NFTs, and that kind of determines your risk level. It just increases accordingly. Or you can just trade Bitcoin on like 10x. Trade Bitcoin on 10x, and maybe that matches the performance of altcoins. You can do that too, but then you open the risk to liquidation. So everything is a system of checks and balances. It all kind of evens out. Hopefully that makes sense. So this looks, but this SUI chart, for example, looks very clean. This is a bullish retest. That's what this is. This is a bullish retest. For me and my system, this is where I want to be long. I want to hunt longs, and I will go down to a little bit lower time frame, and I'm seeing a divergence in MACD. RSI is showing me a bit of a divergence, and I want to buy. I want to get SUI here, right here. $2.14 to $2 would make me very happy. That's what I would like to see, and that would coincide with Bitcoin probably dropping to about 79,000 or so, 80,000. Doesn't have to drop that much. So that's one. Optimism is another one I've been watching and not very happy with at all. It's actually terrible how far this has dropped. Oh, but you can see with the weekly, it's been shit. Basically at the same level we were at in 2022, and even going further back here. But if Bitcoin is potentially bottoming, then optimism probably is as well. So you've got a daily 7 that's come in, and on the 4-hour, this is also like almost like a bullish retest. The problem is that the weekly is still bearish. So that's the downside. The upside is that if we look at my range that I drew, again, with my fibs, from just this one, not up here, but if I look at from that one, which seemed to line up well with other levels, we're right at the 88.6 zone, which would be considered like a major support and a buy area. So there's optimism. It's also basically in a buy zone. You're in a buy. Other ones that I'm paying close attention to, I mean, obviously we talked about Rune a lot at TRI. That's been painful. It's at like 109, which is basically back where it was here. Get rid of some of this stuff. You can see when we broke down from this upward trending parallel channel, it just went to crap. So if you ever draw a long-term upward parallel channel and the market respects that channel and then it breaks down, usually you should sell. Just usually you should, just my opinion. Only altcoin in the green. I don't know. I didn't look at that. I have no idea. I think you should do, Brian would say you should do what your plan tells you. So Rune broke down from basically everything, just complete death. There's no even fibs down here that it's sitting within, no long-term fibs. I can even go to the low of the low from like 40 cents. If I go to the low of the low, you can actually see that it did come into the 88.6 level, and it's basically holding there. And that's your last like line in the sand. And that's from the lowest that Rune ever went to, which was 34 cents back in 2020. I don't know if it's a dead protocol. I think you're taking a risk here for sure. I don't know too much about the fundamentals on this or how much money it's making now. But I do know that this daily chart is disappointing and it's starting to break down, and it needs to maintain it or it's gonna just die. I think it's easier to kind of just look at the others chart. This is something I try to watch. And this was essentially my different support levels, and this was my buy zone. So we're in my altcoin buy zone here. This is the zone. This is major support. No, I don't want to do that. And this was kind of your weekly support, and it's disappointing that we rejected from that. This was a major, pretty big like FU here. So not only are you rolling over from this uptrend, MACD is negative, you had a 7, 8, and 9 on a weekly, which historically, all the other times, has provided bounces. Bounce, 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 bounce. And then this time, what happens? There's no bounce. No bounce, roll over, die. So that's pretty disappointing. And I don't like how this looks. Even on a daily, this doesn't look great. On a 3-day, it looks a bit better. But I am disappointed with how this turned out, because statistically it should have bounced here, and it hasn't. But we can look at this recent high and look at the low. So this was your low, that was the panic low, and this is the high. And again, if we're using fibs and assuming this is kind of a range and we're not going to new lows, then this is basically your buy right here, 206, where we tagged it and we bounced. This is for all of your crypto coins, your altcoins. This is the buy level. And it could play in this area, maybe stop people out a little bit lower at 200 billion BFRN. This is your play area for maybe the next month, and then we'll move higher. That's what it looks like to me. I can't be too bearish when we've already sold off this much and the market is only maybe 3% away from a bottom. Could even bottom here, but I'm targeting more so a little bit lower. Yeah, so that's others, and I think that can apply to any altcoin you can think of. You guys are bringing up different coins. I don't know if I'm going to look at those, because I looked at other, and I think you can just follow that. Everything's just going to follow that thing. And I don't know how much percentage you're going to get on some of these coins. Like, they could be a lot or a little bit, but all I know is you buy when Bitcoin bottoms and you sell when Bitcoin tops. And that's how you make money. Okay, do I have anything else I want to talk about? I guess my only other comment is the tariffs. I don't think you should freak out too much. I think countries are going to work it out. And they're just, market makers and hedge funds are going to use the next month to just kind of whipsaw you with the headlines. And you just have to survive the next month and see if you can get decent entries. That's all. Assume this is a range. How do you what to the oversold and overbought line? How do you set up your RSI like it is, and what to the oversold and overbought lines? Yeah, so for me, I just programmed this myself. Not this part. This is from someone else, but I programmed this. I'm pretty sure you can take a screenshot and just ask ChatGPT to program it for you. Just say like in PineScript program, so I have an RSI that looks like this, and it'll do it. It's a simple code. But I have these different levels, because these are fib levels basically, and RSI seems to respect them most of the time. You can see how it bounced a lot of times off these different levels. And when it's in the red, to me, it means that it could continue selling off until it gets out of that red zone. When it's in the green, it means it can keep rallying until it gets out of that green zone, and I should be careful. So that's kind of how I use it. But I still look for divergence, and the main thing is the yellow line. Okay, I think I'm going to call it here. We had 50 viewers. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. If you're not a TRI member, consider signing up. Free trial. We post updates in there most of the time. And I post to my little Julian room sparingly, like once a month. But I do have my next report coming out about the impact of the money supply system, and probably what I expected with tariffs over the next month. I should try to wrap that up. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys got value out of that. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Don't stress too much about this. Try to take some time, get away, exercise, walk, do those things, get away from the computer. Health is wealth, right? There's no point in being really successful with trading if you cannot run down a flight of stairs in an earthquake. All right, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on the site. And if not, I'll see you here next. Well, actually, I'll be in Phuket, but I will see you on the live